After I donated a cornea to her nearly blind son, I heard their truth in a coma. Liam's eyes weren't sick at all, they had conspired to trick me. Just so Scarlett could get a cornea transplant. My husband even praised his son for his excellent acting. The doctor couldn't bear it and warned, "If she knows the truth, I'm afraid." But he just sneered, "She loves us, she won't leave." When I woke up, Ethan, who should have been by my bedside, was nowhere to be found, returning alone, enduring the sympathetic glances of the medical staff. I found Ethan and Scarlett enjoying a romantic candlelight. Seeing me back, Ethan quickly got up. "Honey, you're back. Why didn't you tell me you were discharged? I would have picked you up. This was such a big surgery. You must be exhausted. Liam and I will take good care of you from now on." His gaze was as gentle as ever, but I suddenly felt utterly disgusted. Beneath his faud was nothing but false sincerity. I ignored him and just looked at Scarlett, who sat there as if she were the lady of the home. "Why is she here?" Ethan coughed and explained, "This is for Liam, of course. He only remembers Scarlett now, and the doctor said they should spend more time together. It helps his recovery." Liam, with a knowing look, stepped forward and hit me. "Bad woman, how dare you bully my mom?" I pressed my lips together, and the blood in my veins instantly turned cold. The pain of being betrayed by the two people closest to me made me almost unable to stand. Before the surgery, the doctor had warned me my body wasn't suited for such an operation. Forcing it would only shorten my life, but was so young. I couldn't bear to watch him go blind. A pair of corneas, that was the last gift I, as a mother, could give him, yet my full devotion was met with one betrayal after another. Everything was just a trick they set up for Scarlett. Seeing this, Scarlett swayed forward to mediate. "Liam, it's okay. You shouldn't hit people." I looked at her triumphant eyes, trembling with anger. Sensing the tension, Ethan quickly handed me a gift. "Honey, this is my discharge gift for you." I looked down. Inside was a revealing set of sexy. Ethan's face instantly darkened. He opened his mouth as if to explain he'd grabbed the wrong thing, but I never wore such things. He knew perfectly well who it was really for. I laughed, a bitter, sarcastic sound, and threw the clothes directly at his face, then turned and went back to the room, but the sounds of laughter and joy from outside the door were so loud they made my eardrums ache. I had truly become an outsider in this home, but soon, Liam knocked on my room door. He walked into my room without ceremony, almost commanding me, "My animal is broken. Sew it for me." He held a rabbit animal in his hand, one I had sewn for him stitch by stitch, but now, the rabbit's entire body had been maliciously cut beyond recognition. My hands trembled as I looked at Liam. Was this still the child I had given birth to, almost losing my life in the process? But he wasn't like this before. He used to sweetly call me mom and help me with chores like a sensible child, but I don't know when it started. He began to dislike my increasingly haggard face. A result of taking care of him, he pointed at my nose. "You're so hideous now. No wonder Dad doesn't want to come home to see you." My heart was deeply pierced, and it was like a bucket of cold water had been thrown over my face. Liam held the basin, glaring at me impatiently. "Why are you just standing there, stunned? Hurry up and sew it." I gave him a deep look and calmly told him, "Go find Scarlett to sew it for you." With that, I walked to the balcony, intending to find new clothes, but the next second, I heard a click as the balcony door was locked. I was startled, frantically pounding on the door and shouting, "Liam, open the door," but just snorted, then pulled the curtains shut. Ignoring my desperate pleas, the night wind was biting, and my soaked clothes clung to me, making me shiver uncontrollably. My heart had completely turned cold. I curled up in a corner, seeking a sliver of warmth. Just then, I heard a woman's moan. "Oh, you're so annoying. Do you really like this outfit so much? Grace is right next door. Aren't you afraid she'll come out and see us?" Ethan chuckled, breathing heavily. "Don't worry, with Liam here, she won't have the energy to bother us. Besides, we've been apart for so many years. Don't you miss me?" The sounds of their lovemaking filled my ears, and I finally couldn't control myself, vomiting a large mouthful of blood. That night, they were hot and heavy in the room, and I was on the balcony, enduring the bitter cold wind. It wasn't until noon the next day, when I was on the verge of dehydration, that Ethan found me. He quickly took off his coat and wrapped it around my dying body, and for the first time, he looked serious with Liam. "Liam, who told you to do that?" Liam pouted. "She wouldn't sew my doll. She deserved it, but you can't do that." Liam snorted, casually taking Scarlett's hand and running off. Ethan sighed, holding my hand to comfort me. "Grace, Liam sees Scarlett as you now. Everything he does is because he loves you. You have to understand him. What's more, I will always be on your side." His eyes were tender and sincere, as if he still loved me deeply. If I ignored the bright red marks on his neck, I might have actually believed him. I turned my head away, not wanting to look at him anymore. Seeing my attitude, Ethan also lost his temper. "Grace, keeping up this act is getting tiresome." I smiled. "Is that so? Then I'll make sure to keep it up till the very end." "Unreasonable." Ethan slammed the door shut. The noise made my temples throb with pain. I lay on the sofa, resting for a while before getting up and heading to the hospital. I needed to buy medicine. My artificial eye was, after all, a foreign object, and it caused excruciating pain every few days. The doctor told me there was a special medicine that might stabilize my condition. Otherwise, at this rate, I wouldn't live longer than half a year. However, I had long since become a homemaker for love, and control of the finances was almost entirely in Ethan's hands. But I didn't want to die yet, so I opened my cell and called him, but it was always busy. Until the last time, he simply hung up. I smiled and told the doctor, "Never mind." After leaving the hospital, my cell died, and the sky began to pour rain. My artificial eye had limited vision in the rain, but I could still vaguely make out Ethan and Liam celebrating Chloe's new life at the dessert. They smeared cream on each other's faces, looking as happy as a couple in a TV drama. Yet, they usually hated sweets. Rainwater streamed down my hair, and I let out a bitter laugh, then another. It turned out they did not eat sweets. It was just that I wasn't the one who could make them enjoy sweets. The continuous exposure to cold led to a high fever as soon as I got home. My artificial eye was still a foreign object, often making me too uncomfortable to sleep all night. But now, with the fever, I actually drifted into a hazy sleep. However, I wasn't asleep for long before I was woken up. "Ethan brought me a small cake here. Liam and I brought you a strawberry. Didn't you used to love it?" A classic stick and carrot trick. I looked into his eyes and calmly said, "Used to is used to. I don't love it now." Ethan frowned. "Grace, what exactly are you trying to say?" I told him, "Ethan, give me 300,000. Ethan seemed bewildered that I would suddenly make such a demand, but before I could reply, Chloe charmingly raised her hand. "I know why. Because a brand just released a new designer that costs exactly 300,000. Grace must want to buy a designer, right? Making such a fuss just for a designer. Grace, you're really so childish." Ethan's eyes were full of mockery. "So you've been throwing tantrums all this time just to buy a designer?" "Grace, I didn't know you'd become so vain and materialistic." Liam also chimed in, Exactly. Why should such a materialistic woman stay in our home?" The three of them righteously accused me, and I let out a self-deprecating laugh. Yes, a designer. They only knew 300,000 was the price of a designer, but they didn't know that 300,000 was also my life-saving money. Scarlett smiled and walked forward, adding fuel to the fire. "Oh, don't say that. Grace is orphaned, didn't have a proper upbringing. It's normal for her to have some bad habits." When she mentioned my mother, my brain didn't even have time to think. I instinctively slapped her. Scarlett cried out and fell into Ethan's arms. Ethan immediately flared up, pointing at my nose and cursing me fiercely. "Grace, apologize. Otherwise, you can forget about that money." My heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly, making it hard to breathe. Enduring the high fever, I propped myself up and looked at the man I had loved for 7 years. His appearance had barely changed over the years, but his heart had become barely recognizable. In that moment, I no longer wanted the money. I no longer wanted him or Liam either. After leaving the prepared divorce, I began to pack my things. I had very few possessions, apart from what Chloe had thrown away. The most important thing was my mother's urn. Just then, Scarlett clicked her heels into the room, with Liam absent. She no longer feigned her usual gentle and lovely demeanor, instead putting on a sharp and vicious face. "Well, the like a stray dog finally knows to get lost. Since you're leaving anyway, how about I tell you a secret?" She smiled and leaned close to my ear. "That is, your eyes are with me." My fingertips paused, and Scarlett clearly looked more triumphant. "Didn't expect that, did you? Your husband and son were willing to team up and trick you for my sake. To be honest, Grace, if I lived a life like yours, I would have slammed my head against a wall and died long ago." My most painful wound was mercilessly torn open. My face remained impassive, but my fingertips almost dug into my palms. Scarlett was clearly disappointed not to see me break down into hysterical despair. She cast her gaze towards the urn in my hand. I instinctively clutched it tighter. Seeing this, Scarlett directly reached out to snatch it. The next second, the urn I treasured fell to pieces during the struggle. No, I instantly lost all my strength. Cradling the scattered white ashes on the floor, weeping uncontrollably, my suppressed emotions finally burst forth. I raised my hand, ready to slap Chloe. Scarlett shrieked and fell directly into Ethan's embrace. Before I could react, I was forcefully shoved to the ground. My hand landed on the fragments, and blood flowed profusely. Ethan's face was dark. "Grace, do you want to die?" Ignoring the pain, I gritted my teeth and roared at him. "That's my mother's ashes. So what? The dead will never be as important as the living." My eyes widened in disbelief. Before my mother passed away, he was the person she talked about most every day. How could he say such a thing? Before I could react, Liam, seeing Scarlett's wronged expression, angrily took a broom and swept up the ashes, then opened the window and threw them out. I scrambled forward, trying to stop him, but I was too late. I could only watch as my mother's ashes scattered with the wind. I felt as if all my bones had been broken. My eyes were unfocused as I collapsed onto the floor. The flesh and blood I had carried for 10 months had now become a sharp blade piercing me. Extreme sadness and despair almost tore me apart. I lay on the floor. In so much pain I was on the verge of fainting. Seeing my pale face, Ethan instantly rushed forward, anxious, but Scarlett clung to his arm. "Ethan, Grace is just trying to trick you. She did something wrong and is afraid of being punished. So she's faking illness to gain sympathy. Think about it. When she had the cornea transplant, her body was perfectly fine." With that one sentence, Ethan's eyes turned cold again. "Yes, if Scarlett hadn't reminded me, I would have almost been tricked by you. I've really spoiled you over the years, letting you develop so many bad habits. Now I'm going to help you fix them properly." With that, he grabbed my arm and dragged me towards the bathroom. My body scraped against the floor, and I was in too much pain to even cry out. My eyes also felt as if ants were gnawing at them. An agonizing pain. I curled up in despair, hearing Ethan gently comforting Scarlett outside the door. Liam also chimed in. "Mommy, did you see how she looked just now? Like a dead dog. So ugly outside." They turned my suffering into entertainment to amuse Scarlett, and inside, I endured wave after wave of pain until my consciousness blurred, and I smelled the pungent odor of gasoline. The next second, flames engulfed everything. The fire mercilessly consumed my body, and my eyes swelled painfully from the smoke. I screamed and rolled on the ground, but I was eventually rescued by firefighters. Before losing consciousness, I made a request to them: if asked about me, tell them I died. After that fire, although I survived, my artificial eye was severely damaged. My body's immune system began to attack it, and the doctor regretfully told me I wouldn't live longer than a month. I nodded, then gave up further treatment at the hospital. In my final days, I didn't want to become a toothless, bald ICU patient. So I bought a ticket and returned to the old where I once lived with my mother. Having not returned for years, it was overgrown with weeds and covered in cobwebs, yet I happily cleaned, determined to sweep away all the filth from my past out of my life. Gao, they and I, will probably never meet again, only occasionally when I had free time. Would I think of things from the past, the year my mother and I were destitute? Ethan entered my life, in the height of summer. Cicadas buzzed deafeningly, and he stood in the light, unforgettable at first sight, both children from single-parent families. He and I were like two stubborn little beasts, clinging to each other, growing up together, refusing to let go. After my mother passed away, he even solemnly promised me, with his youthful eyes, Ethan would never betray Grace. During that time, life was hard, but he never let me suffer. But sincerity, after all, changes in an instant. The light that once saved me would now personally push me into an endless abyss. Unconsciously, my eyes began to sting, but my artificial eye told me that I couldn't even cry anymore. I smiled and threw the news about Ethan frantically searching for me into the trash. He didn't believe I was dead and had been spending lavishly to find me everywhere these days, but the world was vast. How easy was it to find someone intentionally hiding? I went to a cake shop and bought myself a large cake, under the candlelight. I thought for a long time, and finally made a wish. I hoped I could get a good night's sleep, and it would be even better if I could dream of my mother. But before I could dream of my mother, I saw Ethan first. His face was tired, his eyes bloodshot, as he clutched my arm. I knew you weren't dead. Why did you lie to me? As he spoke, his voice softened. Do you know I've been almost driven mad looking for you these past few days? Come on, you're coming home with me now. He was very strong, and I struggled hard. Let go. Impossible. Grace, faking your death to trick Liam and me, can't you stop acting like a child all the time? His shameless words infuriated me, and I suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. Ethan, seeing his hand covered in blood, was stunned. It took him a long moment before he maniacally picked me up and ran out. In the ambulance, he desperately tried to stop me from vomiting blood, but he could only watch as half of his shirt was soaked with my blood. Upon arriving at the hospital, Ethan's voice was so loud it almost shook the entire hospital. Only less than a month left. How is that possible? Yes. How could you let her have the cornea transplant surgery? Her body couldn't tolerate it at all, not to mention her artificial eye is severely damaged from the fire. She doesn't have much time left. Hearing this, Ethan immediately became furious. Nonsense. A bunch of quacks. You're incompetent yourselves, yet you insist my wife is beyond saving. Do you believe I'll smash this dilapidated place of yours? He was highly emotional, and I didn't want to be dragged into another news tomorrow, so I propped myself up and walked out. Ethan saw me coming and quickly helped me back to the bed, his tone reproachful. Why are you still running around now? That quack just now was spouting nonsense. Don't believe him. I've already booked foreign specialists. They'll be here in a few days. Don't worry. I'll definitely cure you. No need, I know. I'm beyond saving. Ethan's smile instantly froze, but he still persisted. Grace, be good. I know you're angry about me locking you in the basement. I was momentarily possessed. I really didn't expect a fire to happen, but now, please don't gamble with your health to spite me, okay? I shook my head. Ethan suddenly became agitated. He shouted my name. Grace, do you not want to live anymore? Why did you insist on having that surgery back then? I smiled. Ethan, didn't you want me to do it? Ethan choked. I looked at him mockingly. Ethan, what kind of deep affection are you pretending to show now? When you and Liam tricked me into getting a cornea transplant for Scarlett, why didn't you think of loving me then? I'm tired. Let's get a divorce. I won't allow it. Realizing he was too agitated, Ethan tried to calm his tone, his eyes red as he pleaded with me. Grace, let's not get a divorce. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. Forgive me, and we'll live a good life from now on. And think about Liam. Are you really going to be so heartless and abandon both me and him? I retorted. Doesn't he consider Scarlett his mother? Ethan choked. Just then, Liam came to see me, holding a bouquet of roses. He cautiously watched my expression. Mommy, I'm all better now. You're my only mommy. I shook my head. I'm not. Scarlett is. You should go find her from now on. If you're going to fake an illness, you should see it through to the end. Liam's eyes immediately turned red, and Ethan tried to explain, but I didn't want to bother with a rotten relationship anymore, so I called the nurse and had Ethan and Liam shown out of the room. They wouldn't give up, visiting me tirelessly every day. I suddenly found it quite laughable. When I was in excruciating pain from my artificial eye, unable to sleep all night, when I needed them most, they were outside, watching fireworks with Scarlett all night. Now they came back, wanting me, but I no longer needed them. During a break when Ethan and Liam were not around, an uninvited guest arrived in my room. Scarlett, with her swollen belly, walked towards me step by step. Her eyes were filled with disgust. Grace, you truly have 9 lives. Even fire couldn't kill you. I paused. You set the fire? She smiled triumphantly. So what if I did? Let me tell you. I'm pregnant, and the child is Ethan's. Scarlett stared at me intently, trying to find a flicker of emotion on my face. Finally, she found it. I frowned and told her, you're blocking my reading light. Scarlett immediately started cursing. Grace, stop pretending. You're a dead woman. If you know what's good for you, you'll leave Ethan's side right now. I smiled and placed one of Ethan's daily lengthy in front of her eyes. See for yourself who's clinging to whom now. Scarlett gritted her teeth, and the next second, a sinister smile appeared on her face. She spread her arms and deliberately fell to the ground. I tried to reach out, but it was too late. Scarlett fell directly to the floor. Then, she cried out at the top of her lungs, Ethan, my stomach hurts so much. I just wanted to see Grace. But she pushed me. She tried to kill our baby. Following her wails, I finally saw Ethan at the door, holding roses, but he just stood there quietly, without any movement. After a long moment, he walked in, but completely bypassed Scarlett, scooped me up into his arms. His voice full of heartache, "It's cold out. Why did you come out wearing so little?" Scarlett lay on the ground, screaming in disbelief. Ethan coldly glanced at her. "I saw everything just now. Scarlett, I don't need your child." With that, he ignored Scarlett's cries. In the hospital room, Ethan looked contrite. "Grace, are you all right? It was my oversight. Next time, I definitely won't let that crazy woman near you." I looked at him, smiling sarcastically. "If you hadn't gotten involved with her, she wouldn't have come after me." Ethan apologized in a hoarse voice again and again, but I didn't want to listen. I just looked at myself in the mirror, haggard, jaundiced, and much of my hair had fallen out. So hideous, but I was looking more and more like my mother back then, at that time, lying in her hospital bed. She held my hand in Ethan's, her voice full of reluctance. "I'm useless. I can't accompany you on your future path. Now I just hope that in the future, you two live well, as long as you are united. Nothing is insurmountable." She cried as she spoke, and I cried too. Ethan held me, vowing to protect me for a lifetime. But he broke his promise. He cheated with his idealized first love from his youth. Seeing that I kept ignoring him, Ethan suddenly knelt down with a thud. "Grace, I truly know I was wrong. I love you. I can't live without you." I calmly took off some of my clothes. My once fair skin was now charred black from the fire. I asked him, "Is this how you love me?" Ethan's face instantly twisted in pain. He cried and hugged me. "Grace, please, forgive me this one time. I'll do anything." I recalled my mother's appearance. "Then give me back my mother's ashes." Ethan's strength drained away instantly, his face ashen. "Grace, I can't do that." A dense, prickling pain began to spread through my heart, and I smiled. "Yes, I can't either." After driving Ethan out of the hospital room, the bitter smell of herbal quickly filled my nostrils. It reminded me it was time for my medicine. Today's herbal was somewhat different from usual. It had a faint smell of blood. I was curious, so a few days later, I found a good time and went to observe the brewing process. The next second, I saw Liam cut open his palm and let the blood drip into my medicine. Seeing me arrive, Liam, disregarding the dripping blood from his hand, tried to run towards me, but I took 2 steps back, evading his embrace. Liam's tears immediately fell. People around started to look on, unable to bear it. Oh my God, what a tragedy, such a small child. I heard a folk remedy says to use blood as a cure, and he's here every day donating blood for his mother. I heard this woman is still insisting on a divorce and doesn't want her child. Does a woman like that deserve to be a mother? Such a good child wasted on her." Listening to the curses aimed at me, I turned and left. Liam cried behind me, calling for his mom not to leave, but when he locked me on the balcony, he didn't waver all night. Just as I now would never turn back to him. For the first time, I actively called Ethan, wanting him to stop Liam's actions, but's voice on the other end, while surprised, was tinged with profound exhaustion. "Grace, I'm so happy, you actually..." He didn't finish his sentence before I heard a thud. "Oh no, Mr. Ethan has fainted." Listening to the commotion on the other end, I quietly hung up the phone, but the next second, I saw a trending news. Mr. Ethan, who never believed in fate or superstition, now, for his beloved wife, walked for miles, making a pilgrimage on his knees to the chapel in the pouring rain. He only wished for one life to be exchanged for another. Such a devoted husband persona instantly ignited the entire internet. Everyone envied me for my good fortune to have met such a wonderful husband. I scrolled and scrolled, and then I laughed too late. Belated affection is worthless. Soon, this profound affection was exposed. Scarlett posted a photo of Ethan proposing to her on social media. The internet instantly exploded. Ethan's devoted husband persona completely collapsed in an instant. Oh my goodness. What an Oscar-worthy performance. I thought he was so deeply devoted to his wife, but it's truly laughable. No. If a man like this can be so cruel to his wife, imagine the products his company sells us. Tsk. Seeing the situation escalate, Scarlett was very happy. The previous incident of framing me had caused Ethan to completely cold shoulder her, but fortunately, the trending news was powerful, and now everyone knew about her relationship with Ethan. She even bought herself a pile of jewelry to celebrate in advance, and, upon waking and learning the news, was so furious he almost fainted again. He looked at the flamboyant Scarlett in front of him and cursed fiercely, "Bitch. Why did you release those photos?" Scarlett was stunned by the thing, but still clung to his arm and sweet-talked, "Oh, Ethan. Grace is almost dead anyway. What's the big deal if I announce our happy news early?" Ethan's face darkened, and he angrily shook off her hand. "My only wife is Grace. Now everyone knows I cheated. Are you going to be responsible for the company's plummeting stock and reputation?" Only then did Scarlett realize the enormous mistake she had made. She sank to her knees, sobbing with her hands over her eyes. "Ethan, I did it because I loved you so much. You have to give our child a name, don't you? Haven't I been accommodating all these years?" At this, Ethan suddenly felt an unbearable pain in his heart. Over the years, he had spoiled Scarlett rotten, sending her all kinds of luxury goods like flowing water, and all she had received over the years was an artificial eye. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot. He clenched his fists and, for the first time, struck a woman. "Want a name? What are you even?" He didn't stop until Scarlett had a complete miscarriage, but this caused the company's shares to fall even more drastically, and Ethan was also incarcerated for a period for intentional assault, and continued to tirelessly donate blood for my herbal. I refused, but he secretly continued. Blood is the essence of vitality. The child who was once lively and bouncing was now so thin his eye sockets were sunken, just skin and bones, knowing his past mistakes. He didn't dare to see me. Only on my birthday, he secretly slipped a greeting into a bouquet of roses for me. "Mommy, today is my birthday. Can you give me a hug?" I looked at that greeting again and again, and finally threw it into the trash can. Liam was very sad, and coupled with prolonged blood loss, he fainted for several days straight, but without the harassment from Ethan and Liam, my mood had become much lighter. However, Lady ultimately did not smile upon me. My destined death continued. On the day I passed away, I seemed to sense it. I left the hospital, first went to a photo to take a beautiful picture of myself, then I went to the sea breeze caressed my face, and it felt very comfortable as the sun set. My life also reached its end. After death, I floated in mid-air, watching cry heartbrokenly over my urn. Liam, by his side, didn't understand death, still innocently asking him where I had gone, but now couldn't hear a single word. "Grace, don't joke with me. Come out, please. You can hit me, curse me, just don't scare me. I really can't lose you." He broke down, clutching my urn and shouting. But the wooden box didn't respond. In the days that followed, Ethan lived like a walking corpse, spending his days locked in his room, drinking heavily. He didn't even notice Liam's psychological abnormalities. He was entirely immersed in the grief of my death, until he learned that the fire years ago was not an accident. Only then did he suddenly look up, and then forcefully drag Scarlett, who had not yet recovered, out of the home. Scarlett screamed as she was dragged for several meters, her lower body already bleeding profusely. Ethan glared at her with icy eyes. "You set the fire back then?" Seeing that she couldn't hide it, Scarlett broke down and shouted, "Yes, I did. I hated her. I wanted her dead." Ethan grabbed her throat. Scarlett's face quickly turned purple from lack of oxygen, but froze at this moment. He looked at Scarlett's constantly tear-filled eyes, mesmerized, so beautiful. Those were Grace's eyes, as if he had discovered something astonishing. Ethan immediately rushed to the kitchen and grabbed a knife. Scarlett was instantly terrified. She shrieked and tried to escape. But Ethan grabbed her. His smile was pathological and deranged. "Don't run. Give me back Grace's eyes." His hand raised the knife and brought it down. Amidst flying blood, the woman's wails echoed throughout the entire home, but didn't care in the slightest. He carried 2 bloody eyeballs and walked to my urn. "Grace, look, I've given you back your eyes. Please don't be angry anymore. Come out and see me, okay?" I watched the entire scene from mid-air. Feeling disgusted and shocked, Scarlett soon died from excessive blood loss, and was sentenced to death for intentional homicide, but before the execution date, he set a fire in his home, taking my pain upon himself. When the firefighters finally arrived, they only found a charred body and a few words he had written on the wall with blood. "Grace, forgive me." I watched the entire process with an impassive face, then drifted to another place. As for Liam, because of my departure, combined with his previous blood donations, he developed serious health problems. After being sent to a medical institution by a kind person, his gaze was vacant, and he couldn't even speak. He would only hold the rabbit animal that had been cut open. Laughing over and over again, watching their final destinies, my heart was filled with peace. If only they had known this outcome, why did they act that way in the first place? It was all my own doing soon. The eastern sky began to lighten with the pale glow of dawn, and this quietly urged me. The past had faded into nothingness. It was time to embark on a new chapter.